Welcome to this video on the anatomy of human loyalty and divine reckoning. We will be undertaking an exegetical, linguistic, and psychological breakdown of Surah Al-Aadiyaat. Surah Al-Aadiyaat, chapter 100, is juxtaposed with Surah Al-Zalzala. Al-Zalzala speaks of macro-level apocalyptic shaking of the earth, while Al-Aadiyaat focuses on the micro-level intense shaking of the human heart, diagnosing spiritual diseases leading to ruin. Determining the context of revelation involves two main views: the Makki paradigm, which sees the surah as focused on universal ingratitude and resurrection, and the Madani paradigm, which relates it to a specific military expedition. The majority of scholars favor the Makki view. While a historical narrative links the surah to a specific raid, the science of authentication suggests otherwise. Imam al-Dahabi categorized these narrations as weak, leading scholars to prefer the Makki classification, treating the war horses as a universal metaphor. The divine oath is deciphered through two views: a majority consensus favoring horses due to the physical evidence of panting and striking sparks, and a minority view for camels. Sunni orthodoxy leans toward horses, as the language implies the intensity of battle, not pilgrimage rites. The phonetic rhythm of the surah shifts dramatically. Verses 1 to 5 feature hasty, violent sounds mimicking a cavalry charge. Verses 6 to 8 have heavy, dragging sounds, reflecting spiritual stagnation. Finally, verses 9-11 use stretched sounds, projecting a sense of eternal permanence. Verses 1 and 2 describe the Adiyat Abhan, horses with singular focus, panting rhythmically, and Muriyati Qadhan, striking sparks of fire. The psychological lesson emphasizes the power of singular dedication and enduring hardship to achieve spiritual excellence. The cavalry charge continues with Mugirati Subhan, a devastating ambush at dawn. The lesson is to prioritize the spiritual blessing of the early hours to combat the ego. Naqan to Jam'an depicts penetrating the enemy, teaching believers to endure chaos and trust God's command. Al-Razi presents a parody of loyalty. The beast, with meager provisions, shows absolute sacrifice. The human, with infinite blessings and advanced intellect, responds with arrogant rebellion. This is a devastating indictment of human ingratitude. The tone shifts abruptly. The rhythmic galloping stops, and the Quran forces the lens inward to diagnose the diseases of the soul. Kanud, or ingratitude, leads to shaheed, self-witnessing hypocrisy, and finally to shadid, violent materialism. Verse 6 introduces the Kanud pathology, where mankind is ungrateful. Kanud means counting calamities and forgetting God's favors, severing the spiritual tie. The cure is shukur, active gratitude, and tazkiyah, purification, to clear the rust of heedlessness. Verse 7 states that man is a witness, shaheed, against himself. The blessings used in disobedience make man a walking testament to his own ingratitude. We must cultivate spiritual watchfulness, or muraqabah, to prevent our conscience from witnessing against our salvation. Shadid, the violent love of wealth, is discussed in verse 8. The word khair, goodness, is used for wealth, but the intense, binding love of it is the tragedy. Ibn Rajab warns that unchecked craving is like starving wolves. The cure is zuhd, holding the world in the hand, but never in the heart. Buthira, meaning violent exhumation, is revealed in verse 9. This is the first part of the extraction model. The contents of the graves are scattered, and the earth vomits every concealed crime. People will be stripped of the arrogance and wealth they violently loved. Husila, the second part of the extraction model in verse 10, means peeling the core of the heart. This implies a meticulous removal of defenses to expose hidden motives and hypocrisy. Suppressing spiritual diseases now guarantees their public exposure later. The video concludes with the ultimate forensic accountability, Al-Khabir. While Al-Alim is general knowing, Al-Khabir denotes an intimate, microscopic, forensic awareness of hidden histories. This synthesis presents the inescapable mirror. The physical stirring of dust in the material world is mirrored by the violent peeling back of the heart in the afterlife. Exemplary scholars offer different exegetical lenses. Al-Qurtubi derived strict Islamic military jurisprudence. Sayyid Qutb focused on phonetic rhythm and psychological resonance. Ibn Qayyim and Ibn Rajab diagnosed the specific diseases of the soul. We present an actionable framework for spiritual preservation. To combat the Kanud mindset, the antidote is shukur, active gratitude. For dismantling the shadid love, the antidote is zuhd, or asceticism. For preparing for husila, the antidote is muraqabah, spiritual watchfulness. The thunderous galloping of the Aadiyaat is a timeless, urgent alarm. It calls humanity away from worldly wealth and back toward a state of focused, mindful, and intensely loyal servitude to the divine.